Good morning, Dr. Dewsbury. Hope you're having an outstanding day so far. My name is Jonathan King, and today I will be going over my final project for the Masters of Teaching 2020-2021. So my final project, what it looks at is exercise and academic achievement and the correlation, the potential correlation between the two. Today, I'll be going over my statement of problem, my research hypothesis, reviewing my brief literature. We'll be going into the method/action plan, which looks specifically at participants, instruments, the research design, threats to validity, as well as the procedure. We'll be looking at results, looking at charts, tables, and analyzing that data. And then lastly, we'll be having a quick discussion and looking at the resulting action. So my statement of problem. Is there a direct correlation between exercise and academic achievement? And due to COVID-19, there has been a decrease in physical activity for students, along with a decrease in academic achievement. Ever since COVID started, you can drastically see that there's been a decrease in PE. I think it's a huge problem. Not only has distance learning been an issue, but I can speak to my school, is that teachers are seeing the effects of a lack of physical education with these students, a lack of focus, an increase in behavior issues, and then a decrease in high academic results. And so we're seeing this, I think, not only at my school, but talking to other physical education teachers in the San Diego Unified School District. They've seen that same correlation where when there's a decrease in physical activity, they're seeing an increase in behavior issues, a decrease in focus, and a decrease in academic performance. I love this quote right here by John F. Kennedy, and he says, "Physical fitness is not only one of the most important keys to a healthy body, it is the basis of dynamic and creative intellectual activity." So my research hypothesis is providing students with 10 to 15 minutes of physical activity before school will have a positive effect on students' focus and academic performance in class. So to kind of go over a brief literature review, I loved this first study. It was done by the International Journal of School and Cognitive Psychology, and it looked at exercise and the effects on stress, depression, and anxiety, and how that kind of transpired into their academic performance. And what the study found, that an exercise habit of strength fostered academic achievement and buffered the effect of stress, depression, and anxiety on student academic performance. And it was a very, very interesting study. The second study that I reviewed looked into the intervention of exercise and how it holds merit in academic results. It actually looked into the science and how exercise can produce what we call BDNF, that has been obtained in association with cognitive and emotional benefits. And what they found in the study was that the more the students exercised, there was an increase in this BDNF. And two of the results, what they found is that exercise training elevated neuroplasticity related to proteins and BDNF and insulin like growth factor, which is huge when you're looking at success in the classroom. The study also found that physical activity might not only lead to better grades, but also to enhance the well-being and the ability to keep moving towards a goal and motivating the individuals to take action and control of their life and giving some empowerment to them. So this article was great because it got down into the science, and this was done actually by the Journal of Physical Activity and Health, and it looked at the science behind exercise and how the chemical production of BDNF can help improve a student's overall academic success in the classroom. And the last kind of resource that I use, and I love this book, it's actually I have it right here, is Spark. And what this book looked at, and actually it focused on the Chicago area, more specifically the Naperville district. And there was a school there, what they have something called a zero period, and the students would exercise first thing in the morning at a high level, okay? And what they found was there's a huge correlation between physical activity and test results. There's a test that students take internationally, which they call the TIMSS, the TIMSS. And what they found that their students at this school scored amongst the best in the world, some of the top 7 in the world. You're looking at Singapore, Korea, Taiwan, Hong Kong, and Japan. And this school was an outlier compared to the students in the country within the United States. They scored in the top 10, okay, and there was no other school to do so. And so this book talks about how exercise played a huge role in the increase in academic performance. So right now I'll be talking about my method and action plan. So the participants in my study are 6th and 7th graders. 7th grade math, there were 28 students, 18 boys, 10 girls. In my 6th grade math, there were 28 students, 12 boys, 16 girls. Amongst my 7th grade Spanish, there were 19 students, 14 boys, 5 girls. And then my 6th grade English, there were 13 students, 6 boys, and 7 girls. Looking at more specifically the ethnic distribution, it's about 80% white, 2% African American, and 18% other. On average, students are of middle to upper middle socioeconomic status. So some of the instruments used in the study was a math quiz, English quiz, and a Spanish quiz. All were 10 questions. So kind of specifically looking at the research design, it was a quasi-experimental, non-equivalent group design. Groups were randomly assigned here in the study. 3 groups were tested in each subject area. We had an X group that was exposed to the treatment of running, and then a group O that was not exposed to the treatment of running. So kind of the procedure. So what we had was on March 3rd, students were administered the quiz in one of the subject areas below, either English, math, or Spanish. On March 4th, students were administered a quiz in a different subject area than the previous day. And then on March 5th, students were administered their last quiz from a subject area they had not taken previously. And to kind of streamline it across, each quiz was actually administered at the same time each morning at 9 a.m. So I'm going through this. Some of the threats to validity were, more specifically, the internal validity was history, right? So we had emerging bilinguals and SPED students were pulled out of class for one-on-one instruction. We had that actually happen. Masturation, some students were exhausted after the run and tired quickly on the quiz. As far as specifically looking at instrumentation, many of my students are English language learners and may have struggled with understanding the questions on the quiz. And then lastly, selection of masturation interaction. Some of the students might have caught on and realized why they were exercising before class and tried harder or less. Some of my students are very bright and might have caught on because they understand why I push exercise so much, and I talk about this throughout the year, that connection, and so some of them might have caught on, and that might have been at a detriment of the study. Looking at external validity, ecological validity, the testing environment may have had an effect on the experimental results, so there may have been different testing environments depending on the subject area. And the last, with further results as far as the generalizability, with further research results of the study may be applicable to individuals and circumstances beyond those studies. So I think you can actually kind of move that over. Some of the implications, there might have been more time required for students to complete it. Some of them may have felt rushed. Emergent bilingual may have had a hard time reading / answering the quizzes. And I think further research is for sure needed to kind of look at that. Looking and analyzing the results, based on the results, there was a moderate relationship between runners and non-runners and the results on the test scores. So getting specific, if you look at this chart, the English results, the blue representing non-runners and the red representing runners, there's a slight increase in the test scores amongst those students in the English class, as you can see here. Looking at the math results, as you can see, the red representing physical activity, students that exercised prior to taking the quiz, and then blue representing students that actually stayed in the classroom and did not exercise. There's a slight increase in the amount of students that scored better on the test scores. And then kind of our outlier here is our Spanish results, blue representing no physical activity and red representing physical activity. As you can see here, actually the no physical activity students did slightly better. Looking at the overall analysis, as you can see, there's a correlation scatter plot here. We averaged out the average score for students that did exercise before the quiz, and their average score was about a 9.47 or a 9.5, and the average score for students that did not participate in exercise before the quiz was about a 9.09 or a 9.1. And so you can tell that students that did exercise did slightly better, I wouldn't say by much, than the students that did not do any exercise. So kind of the resulting action in discussing this issue. In the study, exercise played a small role in the students' academic achievement. With the incorporation of consistent physical activity before school, I believe we will be able to see more clear evidence of academic achievement. If I were to kind of do this differently, what I would have done is maybe have a month where students are exercising before school, and seeing how maybe having them take a quiz at the end of the month and seeing if they're playing, if exercise plays any role on their test scores, but also maybe looking at focus and behavior and seeing if exercise played a role in that as well. Further research, I think, is needed to analyze exercise and its effect on students' focus and energy through the school day. And then I truly believe that more daily exercise should be incorporated into students' daily routine, not only for the academic benefits, but for the health benefits as well, especially in a time of this pandemic. Some of my references that I listed here. And then lastly, I just want to say thank you so much for watching. This is one of my favorite quotes from Plato. It says, in order for a man to succeed in life, God provided him with two means, education and physical activity. Not separately, one for the soul and the other for the body, but for the two together. With these two means, man can attain perfection. And this picture is here of my students during Halloween. And I can definitely say that I'm starting to instill this concept amongst my students that exercise plays a critical role in their future, in their academia, and in their health. And so I just want to thank you so much for an amazing program. I learned so much, and I'm applying so much from what I've learned in this course and the rest of the courses in this master's program to my teaching, and I will continue to incorporate that in my future teaching. So thank you so much, and have a great day.